I don't know what we can talk about in this nation without talking about white superiority, honestly.
Who defines the meaning of God also defines the relationship between economy and God.
African Americans spent $1.3 trillion last year, making us the 16th wealthiest nation in the world. Why have we not turned those riches into wealth to develop our community?
Peace, family. Welcome to another exciting edition of HAPI Talks. I'm your host tonight, Taki Grant, and we have an exciting show for you this evening. Before we get started, we'll let people come into the building, get settled in, and then we'll get started with everything. People are starting to come in now. It's been a while since I've been on the show. I want to say it's good to be back. And I'm looking forward to this exciting, informative discussion we're going to have with these two powerful brothers, Lord Jamar, brand Nubian, and good brother Jamaar Milton. So sit back, relax. We've been talking about many different things. One of the topic of discussion tonight is the true and living God and how it relates to us. I think that's a very important topic because since the beginning of time, man has always strived to understand his origin or the origin of the universe. I think is very important because the work we do today and who we are today kind of relates to that. But we get into a lot of that a little further on as we move along in the show. So like I said, we give folks a couple minutes. See Sister Doriel's in the building. Sister Tika are here. Shout out to them. Big supporters of HAPI and everything that we do. Much love there. Peace, family. All right. So listen, as we get started, everyone knows we talk about this all the time, the foundation of what we do here in HAPI. And as we talk to people, one of the things that come out is most people see what we do here on YouTube and HAPI Talks as being the film itself. I know it's the channel on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and Twitter as well. All our HAPI media or social media accounts are titled Hapifilm. But just because you see HAPI Talks or an episode here and there doesn't mean you've actually seen the film. Family is so important that we start with this because this is the foundation of what we do here. The documentary is 2 hours and 12 minutes long. The award-winning documentary, HAPI. Please take this opportunity to go to hapifilm.com. You can get a DVD or you can get the streaming copy of it. And this really sets the stage for the HAPI movement. Again, it's 2 hours and 12 minutes long. If you have not seen the film, we highly recommend that you do. Again, it's an award-winning documentary with all the top scholars dealing with everything within our community in ways that we can progress. The history of money, as it states here, the role of economics in the development of civilization is so critically important because that is one of the mechanisms in which we can really, truly get empowerment. So we really have to understand how wealth works. And one of the things here in HAPI, what we would like to do, what we're doing is connecting consciousness with money. And I think that's a really important topic. But, so we'll get into that in part of the discussion. Also, before we get started, got to talk about the HAPI 2024 tour to Egypt. Discover the origins of economics in Egypt with HAPI. It's so essential. Family, we ran out of space with our first group. We got group 2. The dates are the 17th to the 24th. Please, if you are on the fence about it, now's the time. Before I get started this, I want to give a shout out to Michael Drake, who's the person responsible for a lot of the art designs you see on the memes that we have here. And this is a very powerful image he put together. And I just when I see it, it's like, wow, it inspires me. But this brother is one of the Black businesses that we work with. And working with for years. He's helped out with a lot of the stuff that we've done in terms of the Nubian and Tekken documentary, him and his wife, Veronica Kitt. But this artwork right here speaks to this upcoming journey we have. We hate to call it trips. They're not trips. They're pilgrimages for us because when Black folks go to the Nile, it's a very special moment in our lives. So understand that the time is short in terms of registering for this particular journey. Don't hesitate. Don't waste any more time. iCareTours.com. Please go check it out. If you have any questions, you know how to reach us. Space is limited. It's almost full. Family, the HAPI newsletter. If you want to stay in touch with everything that we're doing, please make sure you sign up for the HAPI newsletter. Go to hapifilm.com, and there you'll be able to see what we have going on in the HAPI newsletter. Okay, so without any further ado, we're going to bring in our guest tonight, and we'll get this discussion started. Peace, brothers. Peace.
Peace.
Okay.
Peace.
So listen, man, me and the brother Lord Jamar was building the other night, and it kind of gave me some inspiration in terms of one, coming up with the show, and two, coming up with the title for it. And I think a lot of times when we think about just trying to identify the true and living God, I know it's in the lessons, but it's something that I think we kind of take it as a cliche. We don't really look at it in its proper context. I think that's so important for us to really kind of examine that, and how does that relate to who we are and what we do in our lives. And I want to shout you two brothers out, because a lot of the work that you do, from what I said, is reflective of that, in going in the sense of continuing the legacy of our great ancestors. You know what I'm saying? So, take my hat off, shout out to you brothers for continuing the work and being strong, being positive role models in our community. So, with that being, no doubt, definitely, we gotta acknowledge that, because there's so many, so many different things we could be doing on the negative side, but you brothers definitely, are strong staples in that. Lord Jamar been going strong for a long time. And to you, brother Jamaar Milton, been going strong for a long time. So definitely appreciate that. So listen, maybe we get started, basically talking about some of the work that you brothers are doing right now on the creative side, on our artistic side, because when we think of the true and living God as a representation of the divine, one of the things we, our creative forces, our creative genius is one of the things that kind of shows out, or shows and proves that we are connected to that more larger construct of the universe. You know what I mean? So I understand you brothers got a project you're working on right now. Is that correct?
Well, first of all, let me just thank you for bringing Jamar Square, and I just came up with that just now. Bringing the two Jamars together, Jamar Square. Because I'm gonna be honest, this young man wasn't even really on my radar until the event that we did out in Queens.
Right.
Yeah, I forget what the name of the event was, but I'm sure it was a happy event.
Yeah, Happy Day of Black Excellence.
Yeah, Black Excellence. There you go. And I remember you talking to me about Jamaar Milton, and you know what I mean? Kind of went in one ear and out the other, but that was the first time he got on my radar, kind of, you know what I mean? And then once I heard his music and really linked up with him, and I was like, yo, he's dope. Like, brother is dope. Like, a lot of times artists are just conscious for conscious sake, but they're not really dope like that. You know what I mean? Like, and so it's like, you're conscious, but are you going to move the needle in any kind of significant way? And so, yeah, when I heard his music, I was like, yo, he's dope. I would rock with him. So I sent him some beats and stuff like that, and we started doing some things, and he just was getting on, you know what I mean? He was just knocking these beats out. And, there was one that, I sent him, and he just rocked it, and he ended up making an AI video out of it. The name of that joint is called Build Destroy. Shout out to Build Destroy. Yeah, my brother here studied the science of AI, and yeah, he put out a video to one of the joints that I did. There you go. And yeah, that's out. Go check that out if you haven't seen it. And so, I don't know. That seems to be like the beginning of something. So, will we see a Jamar Square album? I don't know. Maybe, probably. You know what I mean? We've been rocking a lot since we met. You know what I mean? He be coming to shows, and you know what I mean? He been to the crib, and
That's what's up.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I'm feeling this album cover, man. You said a lot there, and I want to definitely give a shout out to everyone who was in attendance at the Happy Day of Black Excellence this year, February 4th in Jamaica, Queens. For us, it was a homecoming as well. A lot of stuff began in Queens for me, particularly down the block with the African Poetry Theater from from the venue. And you know, we were able to also show the film that night, and that was like kind of a New York opening. When we first released it, the pandemic came, and we get a chance to kind of really do a New York run the way we did. So that was special for us as well. But we're happy to hear that, you know, we were definitely making the connections were being made that night, because HAPI for us literally is unity and abundance. So when we think of this coming together, bringing people together and letting them collaborate, it lets us know that we're in the spirit of HAPI. When we think of that true and living God and the divine aspect of HAPI, we're living in that nature. So definitely, you know, that's one of the things that we could say, you know, it works. You can see the power of the manifestation of the divine through the works that we do. And that's definitely a testament to it. But listen, the title, Build or Destroy, you know, could we can elaborate on that and like why we came up with that title?
Oh man. Well, I'll say this. Lord Jamar has sent me a beat pack, and this was the first beat that I heard from him. So as soon as I heard it, instantly that was the vibe that I got from it. It was like, yo, I can go either way with this. Like I could really inspire somebody to do something great, or I can inspire somebody to tackle something that needs to go away. Either way, it's a win-win. And I was just like, that's like real build or destroy type. Like, when I'm in the lab, I got friends around me, you know what I'm saying? And we listening to it, boom, boom, boom. And we just get to chopping it up. And a lot of times, you know, records get inspired in that way, just from how we feel the moment that we hear it, you know? And anytime I could write a record in like 15 minutes, like quick like that, then I know that it's one that's powerful and it's genuine, you know? So it's sometimes I listen to a lot of beats all the time, you know, as an artist, people send you packs all the time. And you kind of get desensitized to it until you hear something that truly inspires you, you know. And so when I heard it, you know, instantly, boom, I was like, I got it, we good. And that just set off a spiral of now all different ideas and ways that I could, you know, express what I'm trying to say at that moment in time. But it just takes that energy. So I thank you too as well, you know, for making the alignment, just to reiterate what he said, you know, because, you know, I didn't even know what I was missing by not understanding his art and what he was doing and seeing what he was doing. I wasn't linked with him yet, you know what I'm saying? So by linking with him as a person, I really got to see exactly, you know, what he's about. And he's a genius, you know what I mean? Like, it's awesome when you get to work with people like that inspire you. You know, so I appreciate that, you know, by like linking the two. I felt like I'm almost afraid of it at times. I got to step back, like, whoa, like why is it so? Some of the things happen so perfectly, like with our mindsets and how we be creating, that I just be like, whoa, like, all right, let me make sure I understand this to the full magnitude of what we doing, because it has such an impact when we come together and we do things like to do something like that. I've never done it before, so you know, I appreciate it. You know, it's a piece of art.
Right. So sticking with the creative genius, but before I ask you that question, Jamaar Milton, I just want to say, family, please like, comment, and share. Definitely, you know, send it out, share it to as many people as we can. Like the video, leave a comment. Brother Jamar, you know what? Lord Jamar just said that you actually did the AI in the video. The video is fire, by the way. Is a powerful piece of work. You actually did the AI yourself?
Yeah. So, you know, just, you know, consciousness is about being informed, right? So if AI is rolling around and we talking, you know, anything financial and stuff like that, I'm in tune with it. I want to know how it moves. Like, you know, fundamentally, if I hear that banks are going to start using it in big publications, I want to know what's going on. I want to be ahead of the curve, and I want to be a creator and not just a consumer. So when I heard about it, I was like, let me delve into it and trigger my algorithm to start sending me some AI stuff so I understand. You know, I'm really big on green screens and video creation. I created all my music videos. So when I look at it, I'm always looking for fakeness in it. You know, I'm always aware of that. So I was like, let me make sure I understand AI so that I can't be tricked. You see what I'm saying? That was my initial approach to it. And then as I delved into it, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, for creatives, this just opened the door for us that we've been waiting for eons. You know, so immediately I was like, I got to do some knowledge on this deeper than I thought, because this actually can be a great tool if used correctly, right? Aside from just getting scared of it, if we learn it for creatives, for our world, it's gold. Because now everything that we think of, we can create, and you don't need $1 million budget for it. You can literally just create it right out of your mind and manifest it. You know, so I delved into it for about 2 weeks, just the knowledge, you know, learning everything I can, soaking it up, and then I started experimenting with it. You know, initially I didn't start with the music video as my first thing. The music video, the first thing that I did was I did a publication for my book that I wrote. It was a ebook that I wrote. So I first made the mouth move and did all of that stuff. I learned that first, and then I took that into what I know about music videos, and then incorporated the AI and all that good stuff to take it to the next level and doing a music video and incorporating it. You know, so but yeah, it took me about 2 weeks total as far as knowledge, delving into knowledge.
Shit. And there we go, the true and living God. It shows and prove all the time. Hey, so Lord Jamar, you know, we damn, that just kind of messed me up a little bit. But we were talking a minute ago. Actually, not even a minute ago. When I think of the film HAPI, one of the comments you made was talking about hip hop in terms of where it is and if it's possibly, is there any way of kind of turning this thing around? I just heard the interview from the brother Umar Johnson, and many have been saying that nowadays, what's going out in this current rap music, this corporate rap, is leading to, you know, really destruction. There's so much destruction in our community, you know. So the question is now, is it something that's still, you know, you know, almost, is it worth kind of saving? Is it something that, can we save it? Can we turn it around? Can it still be something that can be used for positive? Because right now it just seems like all negativity is coming out of it, with the exception of what you brothers is doing and others that's, you know, still trying to put the message, a positive message in the music.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not all, you know, there's never anything that's 100% negative or 100% positive, you know. All things are made up of positive and negative, you know, build, destroy. So that being said, can we turn this thing around on a mainstream level? I don't know about that's not looking very hopeful. You know what I mean? But will there always be music out there that, if you know where to find it and all of that type of stuff, can feed your soul and all of that type of stuff? Yes. You know what I mean? I think it's not just old school artists. There's new artists that are up and coming that are on some conscious shit. You know what I mean? Yeah, they see that it's a lot of just lies and untruth and just foolishness that goes on out here, especially with this internet. And, you know, they want something different. You know, they don't want to be fed the nonsense. But you have to go out of your way to really find what you're looking for. You know what I mean? It's just like, if you're into like eating healthy and all that, you got to go to specific grocery stores. You can't just go to a regular shop and stop and think you're going to get what you could find at Whole Foods or, you know, a more niche grocery store. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the same way it is right now with music, especially conscious music. You know, you have to go where conscious music would be at. You know what I mean? And where is that? You know, shit. You gotta, you know what I mean?
You really gotta look for it.
Gotta tap into the conscious people, and we'll put you onto it. You know what I mean? Follow my follow my page, follow this page, you know, the HAPI page, follow Jamaar Milton's page. That's how you know where it's at. Right.
What in terms of and I'm gonna come to you in a minute, Jamaar Milton. What in terms of like the seeds? How do we, because they are obviously being influenced by the more, you know, the conglomerate. And this kind of leads into my other question too. And I guess I can ask this now. We'll just kind of just do both of them together. What are some of the things that we can do to kind of combat some of the negative programming in the media? You know what I mean? Like, how do we address it? What are some of the things that we can do? I know obviously the things that we're doing now is kind of stands at the top of that. But, you know, when we start thinking of, you know, with the younger ones and the next generation coming up, It's like, what is our approach to kind of mitigate this with them?
Well, I always say, man, you gotta make what you want to see. You gotta make that shit cool. You know what I mean? You gotta make it cool, just as cool or cooler than the negative shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
You and I were just talking about how a lot of time consciousness translates to like being broke and poor and shit like that. We got to get rid of those stereotypes too. That's why I like, that HAPI is about economics, because if you out here preaching consciousness, but then you looking broke, you know what I mean? You don't look like you got any sort of economic answers for the people, then it's like nobody wants to listen to you. You have straight fools out here with millions of dollars of jewelry on and watches, and you know what I mean? And they're hanging on there every word. Why? Because it looks like they're successful. It looks like their knowledge has gained them something. So we as conscious people have to sometimes use the tools that they use for evil, we have to use for good. You know what I mean? So if that means me getting a diamond chain and all, then I'm getting it. You know what I mean? If that means you're gonna listen to me, then I'm gonna do stuff like that. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna make sure that I'm economically astute in order to be an example like that.
Right. And Jamar, what's your build on that?
Yeah, I concur 100%. Alluding back to the first question, it's 40,000 songs being uploaded a day. 40,000, right? For somebody to tell me they can't find the type of music that they need to build themselves, I question them, like, in their network. You know what I'm saying? Immediately, I'm like, what do you mean? Like, this is not in the 1970s now where you got to fish for a record. See, that's the art that we lost, right? That's what made hip hop very, very valuable, because sometimes in order to get your hands on a record, you had to literally physically leave your crib and figure out where it is, go buy it and purchase it, protect it, bring it home and play it. You know what I'm saying? And hope it don't break or pop or something like that. It's not in a cloud where you can have access to it all the time. So you treasured it. You know what I'm saying? So, but we live in a different era now where it eliminated that part of the culture, which was very, very important to hip hop, especially when it first came out. Like, we had, diamonds in the rough, and you had to go to the guy who was in the know, who was doing all the parties, to figure out what the hotness was. That element is gone now. Now everybody can find out what's hot immediately at the same time. You see what I'm saying? So now, moving on into consciousness, we've had different eras and different things that was hot, different things that wasn't, right? We've tried different things and we see how it measures up with consciousness. Like he said, you got to make it cool. A lot of the artists that, from my perspective, from back in the day, that we would even consider that was like conscious, was very blatant and out in the open with it, right? This is what we about. They dress like it, talk like it, walk like it, right? Then there was an era where you could tell this artist was smart and they were conscious, but there's some edginess to them, right? That we need more of, because that reality got to be there too. A lot of times we give them so much consciousness that we lose reality, right? You got the ones that fly off into the space, into the stars, and then you got the ones that take that energy, understand it, come off full 720, and now can relate it to everyday practices here on the planet. You see what I'm saying? And I think that that's what we need more of. A lot of, but here's the thing. Here's how the universe works, though. For people like us who do that kind of work, I'm inspired by the crazy, wild out space stuff. I get inspired by it, even though I don't want to do that, because I know that it's just way too, it doesn't help me in my intermediate universe. I'm inspired by that. I can listen to, Andre's flute. I'm good with that, right? At the same time, I can listen to I can listen to 50 or Jay or Big, and I can still get the same message that they're trying to convey. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, in a different way. It's art. So, I don't try to judge the world by the art. I don't do that. You know what I'm saying? At any case, because I know I've sat down and created records that ain't even me, but it's a beautiful piece of art, though. You know what I'm saying? It's art. And that's how we got to look at it. Same way we look at movies. You might take a role you might not particularly like, you know what I mean? But I played that role. It was art. You know what I mean? I'm an actor. That's what I do. Right. So it's like, we look at hip hop a little bit more intrinsic. Like we pick it apart and we give it a whole lot of value. I think sometimes to afford more than it should. You know what I mean? Like, enjoy the music, you know, and don't take it any further than that. Like, you heard a lyric, that don't mean you go out and you shoot somebody because you heard a lyric like that. Like, the kids ain't gonna do that. The kids understand that better. Like, they can play a video game, Grand Theft, and they're not gonna go and kill everybody. It's adults, because we know so much that we take it and we say, you know, this is bad and this is whatever. That's my opinion on it. You know what I mean?
I don't know about that one, brother, because the programming is real. There are things that happen, and there are a lot of weak-minded people that will respond to programming. And one of the things, you know, as you were speaking, it came to mind was the saying that always goes, life imitates, you know, art imitates life. Excuse me, but I think there's a truth to the other side of that too. I think part of sort of life, and you know, art imitating life.
Art and art imitates life.
Facts. Facts.
It's a symbiotic thing. They both, you know what I mean?
It's right.
Constantly doing, you know what I mean? Just intertwining with each other.
Yeah. And I've heard some artists as a cop out saying like, yo, I'm just talking about what I've seen. I'm imitating the life, not understanding that they are actually influencing life itself as well. So I think that's the big thing. That actually kind of brings me to this other joint I wanted to ask you, brothers. You know, when we think of the responsibility of an artist speaking truth, or, you know, does artists have a responsibility to speak truth, or, even though it's against like popular opinions or trends? Is there responsibility there, you know, if to speak the truth, even though it goes against?
You said, is there a responsibility?
Do the artists have a responsibility?
Well, it depends on the artist you're talking about. Not all. You're only responsible for the knowledge that you have. If you don't have a certain level of knowledge, you can't be responsible for that. See what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think sometimes we're asking ignorant people to be responsible people. You understand what I'm saying? When they haven't been fortified purposely with the knowledge that it would take for them to be responsible. That's why they want to have you ignorant in the first place. You see what I'm saying? So now, do the ones who have the knowledge, are they responsible? Absolutely. The ones that know better, if you know the truth, then you should speak the truth. Okay. And if you're doing other than that, but, you know, for some sort of economic gain or some sort of popularity, then, you know, in my day, that's what we call a sellout. You know what I mean? You're selling out. You're going against your values. You're going against what you know is right in order to try to benefit. And that's not something that we saw as honorable coming up in my day. I still don't see it as honorable. But they're trying to actually make that almost a virtue these days. Like, you know what I mean? They're trying to instill in this generation that, you know, that's why you don't even hear the term sellout in the lexicon of today's artists. You don't hear people talking about selling out. You just hear about snitches and shit like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the sellout was replaced with the snitch.
Damn, that's amazing. That's actually a powerful analyzation when you think about it, because you're right, you don't hear sellout no more. It's all about don't be a snitch, don't be a snitch.
Heard that all the time coming up. When if you was I'll date myself. I'm 55. I'm coming up in the 70s and the 80s, and especially in the 70s. You a sellout, man. Don't be a sellout. Jive turkey. You said, man, that jive turkey's selling out. Why? Because you a sellout. And I was like, oh shit, don't be a sellout. You know what I mean? Like as a little kid, I don't want to be a sellout. Like, that seemed like some jive right there. Sellouts be jiving. I don't want that. I don't want to be a jive turkey.
Super.
Damn.
Selling out.
Wow.
Man, it's okay to sell out.
Damn. Jamar, what's your build on that, brother? You want to add on to that about the artist's responsibility?
Yeah, I think that I think it depends on the artist and what their art is supposed to represent. Like, you know, a conscious artist, you know, should be able to spit some bars that have depth to it. You know, somebody like, I don't know, a Kodak Black, I wouldn't expect him to drop anything that's going to enlighten me in any way. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, I leave people where they're at. Like, I don't expect them to be more than what they are. I think, and a lot of times in society, we go to the wrong people for the wrong things. Like, if you want a good word on politics, I don't think that I would go to a musical artist for that. I would rather deal with a politician or somebody that's in that space. If I want to hear about science, I go to somebody that's a scientist. Like, if I need,
see, there are political artists, there's scientists, you know what I mean? There's
I feel you.
Rappers,
I feel you on that.
Political 100%. Rappers and go to them. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, like there's people that do that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, go to the specific ones that, like, I would go to like an Immortal Technique if I want to hear that type of, you know, Tyler Kweli. You know, there's certain people that tap onto those things sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you can pick whichever one you want. You know what I'm saying? But they do that stuff. I wouldn't look for that, you know, from I don't know. I'm not gonna say no more names. I just want to look for that for somebody that doesn't do that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's my spin on it. You know, like when everybody was, you know, looking at Kaepernick, I understood his thing, right? But I also had a twist to it. I was just like, but he's a football player. Like, just let him play ball. I just want him to play ball. Because I was studying for 8 hours. I turned on the football game just to watch football. You see what I'm saying? Like, I want to see football. You know what I mean? So I have that pocket to compartmentalize, but at the same time, I understand what everybody's saying. Like, bro, you black. You need to be standing up and you need to be saying something. I get it, 100%. But I think that we need to compartmentalize, especially here living in America. You feel me? Because that's what we do in America. America, you have that ability to look at other people's cultures. You can look behind past the window. Don't violate. Just look. You know, if you want to participate, you can. Just be respectful. That's America. You see what I'm saying? We get that experience, and you can't get that anywhere else. You can't get that in a third world country. They're going to chop your head off. You know what I mean? Like, for real. See what I'm saying? So, you know, we just have to set our certain guidelines as to how we look at things. And everybody's not responsible for everything. However, if you are responsible and you have that responsibility, meaning it was gifted to you by the universe, the kids follow you, boom, 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 you do have a responsibility to lead them in the right direction.
Gifted to you by the universe. I like that. I like that. That's powerful. I think a lot of times, all too often, we don't realize as Black folks just how gifted we are. You know, like you can see it in, especially when we talk about the seeds, you know, we Black babies are always on the advanced side to doing things, reading, talking, walking, just very kind of innate, natural abilities that we had, gifted, God gifted abilities. You see it in our seeds a lot of times somewhere along the line, we seem to lose a lot of that, and we kind of lose focus and lose the sight of who we really are, you know. But I want to kind of touch on something, and you know, we actually had super chat came over a little while ago. Shout out to the person for doing that. Anyone who wants to be a part of it and support the movement, the Cash App, we'll put it up there in a second. Definitely, you know, appreciate all your support. Cash App, super chats, stars on Facebook. The love is real, and we use that to work with a lot of the Black businesses, particularly like the brother Mike Drake we talked about earlier, who created the artwork, or who's constantly creating artwork. You know, that's what we do, and HAPI make sure that we kind of expand this and look at this economic mindset in a real, actual, practical way. So everything that you know, the family does, we kind of utilize that to kind of make this happen and continue this on. But in the spirit of continuing on, earlier this year, you know, we spoke of the Happy Day of Black Excellence when we had the powerful event out here in Queens. Riza Islam, Professor Smalls, Kaba Kamene, Dr. Susan Tatak, Dr. Gina Falou, all were our main speakers. On the entertainment side, we have brother Jamaar Milton and Brand Nubian was also in the house. The performance was a beautiful night, very powerful experience, especially those who are present right now. You know, definitely show your acknowledgement in the chat if you were there to watch it on the live stream and you couldn't be in New York that night. So with that being said, we have this upcoming journey to Kemet in February, which will almost be 1 year, actually a little bit more than 1 year after the Happy Day of Black Excellence. So in the spirit of that and things that we've done in the past, and you kind of spoke on this a minute ago, Lord Jamar, talking about making it something that's attractive and appealing. we working on something called the best of both worlds. We have who we are as just being African American or whatever you want to call us, and also who we are as being conscious and aware of the true and living God. So that brings us into this journey we're doing in February. We have the chartered ship, which will have a lot of entertainment on. One would be the brother Jamaar Milton will be performing, and we want to also make the announcement tonight that Lord Jamar will be the DJ throughout the our journeys through Kemet. So we have this now, you know, very special acknowledgement. I know see Tashi there, you know, she's gonna be a part of this as well. Yeah, in the house. But one of the things that, you know, we want to make sure that we understand, we bring the appeal to it. You know, we talk of, again, the best of both worlds, being in Kemet, learning who we are, but also enjoying who we are. And that's very important, that balance. So yeah, definitely this is a special moment, special announcement. You're hearing it now on Happy Talk. So people definitely like, comment, and share, get this word out to as many folks as you can. There ain't a lot of time for people who want to register now. If you were thinking about it, now is definitely the time to do it. Go to arcadeTours.com and definitely be a part of it. What are your brother's thoughts on this?
Right, first of all, it's my first time seeing it, but I approve. Yeah, I like it.
Nah, we got it. We're gonna have a few more joints. We're gonna, you know, definitely there'll be a few more made. We have some artwork coming. We just wanted to just make sure we had something tonight for the show. But we definitely going to continue with the, you know, the theme of everything. And it's so important because on the ship, again, on the charter, we have our own ship. People who've been to Kemet before know that you sail up the Nile or down, depending on which way you're going. And one of the things is typically when you're there, you have to kind of like go by their program. But being that we're doing what we're doing, we can have our own program. We have our own music, you know, my own, like, one of the things, our own program in terms of the networking forum, the Linen Party, the live performances. We also have the HAPI Gala. So we definitely wanted someone who's about, how we say, about this life to be there with us in Kemet to really represent what we're doing. I know when I was a young kid or a teenager, when I just started coming to consciousness, sunshine was it. You know what I mean? So we would definitely, you know, that was a part of the inspiration behind what we were doing, behind the inspiration what we're doing today. Definitely, you know, shout out to Pooba and X, you know, being a part of that. But Milton, what's your thoughts on this, brother?
Man, this is one of the highlights of my career, you know, going out to Egypt, to the motherland, just in general, and then being able to perform on the Nile. I just got my priesthood this past, like, last 2 weeks, you know, so this is like, this year has been amazing. So leading up to this is kind of, for me, this is my graduation gift. You know what I mean? The universe just showed up when it was supposed to show up. So I can't wait. I can't wait to do what we do, and for the ancestors to be looking down and shining down on us, that we made it back home and was able to represent the way we were able to represent. So I'm elated. Can't wait.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Jay, you got any more thoughts on this?
Man, I mean, this is, you know, this is gonna be a great event, man. Like, I've been to the motherland once before, but it wasn't like Egypt. I went to Nigeria. Let's just say that's a whole different that's a whole different animal right there. Yeah, it was kind of shocking going to Nigeria, but going to Egypt, going to Cairo, and going with the type of people that we're going with, who are educated and have knowledge on the things that we'll be seeing, and we'll be looking at these things from our perspective. You know what I mean? Not from just the perspective that, you know, the standard perspective that they give to people when they go over there. We're not getting that regular schmegular tour. You know what I mean? We on the HAPI tour. So we know that we're going to be getting that real knowledge and a real breakdown of what we're seeing before us.
That's a fact. And you know, with us, we'll have, you know, brothers like Mfudishi. He'd be one of our main guides there. On the economic side, Dr. Jajina Falou. So like you said, we're going to have people there that's going to be not only educating us, but also being able to entertain us and educate us through the entertainment as well. And that's the most powerful thing. You know what I mean? So
we'll be there for the entire tour. I see someone, will they be present? Yeah, we'll be there for the entire time. I want to see, well, just the same way you want to see, I want to see. You know what I mean? My first time too. I'm not going just to DJ. Damn it. I want to, you know what I mean? I want to partake of it all.
And that's and you know what? That right there is the most. Before I get into that, shout out to my brother Jack Knight, who was a big part of the kind of I see he's had a lot of few comments in the chat. He was a big part of the HAPI thing in the beginning, kind of helped out with the coin phrase that we have, from crops to stocks. Big person in the industry, actually on the music side. So definitely shout out to Jack Knight and being a part of, you know, everything that we've been doing so far. Also, one of my brothers in arms and in the Ansar community. So, you know, known the brother for a long time. But yeah, you know, just going to Kemet and learning and getting the inspiration. You know, one of the things we think about talking about just inspiring the youth. You know, the legacy there was so old and it went for so long. And when you think in terms of just the inspiration, how it inspired the next generation, the next generation, the next generation through art. Because everything we see in Kemet really is expression of art, is a creation of art. The pyramids, the text on the wall, the temples, that's all the expression of art. The statues and everything that we see is art. Just like you two brothers are artists, they were artists, and we're still living in that spirit of the true and living God. And when you think of the inspiration and how it inspired the next generation, we have to see ourselves in that same light. We have to see ourselves in the light of the things that the ancestors were doing, the ancients were doing. And again, you know, I applaud you brothers for doing the work you're doing as creators, as artists, because that's such an important thing. So yeah, you know, anyone who there's still space left, but space is limited. We're getting close to departure in terms of when we're actually going to travel. So right now is the time to register. Please don't hesitate. iCareTours.com. We'll put that up on the screen in a minute. Definitely want to go ahead and get your, you know, register, put your deposit down, and, you know, travel and journey with us. You can also give us a call. Put the number up 646-907-8344, and we'll walk you through the process. If you have any questions about the journey, now's the time to ask. And yeah, we see, you know, make it happen for yourself. It's so very important to be a part of this. Lord Jamar, we spoke earlier about artists, and you know, particularly I'm asking you this question. In your artistic and public expressions, you touched on themes related to, I guess, what we call the divine. How would you describe your understanding of the true and living God?
My understanding of the true and living God. God is the whole. God is the entirety of all knowledge, all wisdom, all understanding. And God's creation, in my understanding, is that God's creation is basically portions of God.
Facts.
So when you have a hologram, right? A hologram, something, let's say you take a light, you shine it through the hologram. On the wall, you'll have whatever image, an apple, whatever, a horse, whatever the case may be. Now, when you cut a hologram in half, right? You'll have half the picture of an apple, but if you shine the light through the hologram, there still will be the full apple on the wall. Okay, this is the science of a hologram. And no matter how many times you chop up a hologram into infinitesimal little pieces, those little portions will still, when you shine that light through it, have the image of the whole within it. That to me is an analogy of God. So God is the whole, and everything else So let me just say everything starts with zero. God is zero, and zero doesn't mean nothing. Zero means everything. Okay? So I got some gods and that's upset with me right now because for the longest time we've been taught that knowledge is the foundation, that one comes first, but that's not true. That's only in when we're talking about natural numbers, and natural numbers are when you're counting on your fingers and toes. Whole numbers, okay? Whole numbers start with zero. This is how you get -1 and -2. And when you see invoices that, or dates that are 09, 0, 000 is the whole of everything. And we've been lied to make us think that zero is nothing. Zero is everything. Zero is the cipher, which inside of it consists everything. So zero, the cipher, is God. And so are you God? Are you a piece of a portion of God? And does the whole of God exist within each portion of us? Yes. Just like the hologram. But you got to shine that light through it to see it. You feel me?
Facts. Appreciate that. Jamar, what's your build on that?
God, man, I've been asked this question so many times over the course of my awakening. If I had $1, I'd be rich. But I will say, to veggie back off of what he said, God being the whole. And I think foundationally, that's the biggest mistake most people make. Most of us make in our awareness is that we immediately separate ourselves from that whole and then try to find our way back to it as if we're not already it and it is not already us. So if we can approach life in general that way, we'll treat people better. We'll look at ourselves more respectfully, right? And we'll be more strategic in our movements on how we move in consideration with the rest of the planet, nature, insects. When I became conscious and I realized that everything was God and God is everything, I was conscious about walking on lawns and what I say in front of trees, understanding that they're alive and they carry memory, stuff like that. You just become way more aware when you realize your connection to it and your purpose here on the planet. I don't necessarily call it God, but my understanding of it allows me to meet people where they're at enough to not be even offended by that. You see? So the entity alone, studying the entity alone will bring you where you have to go. Right? In our walk of life, we call it neter or netaru, right? Some may look at it on the information side as the ka, or where all information is stored. That would be spirit, right? The eternal spirit. As an individual in Kemet, we call it the ba. The ba is what you bring to the table. That's your soul. The ba connects to the ka. There is no ba without the ka. You see? So when we understand the magnitude of that, everything else you realize has its place. When somebody says, this was my experience and my perspective, I understand your perspective. I can meet you right where you're at, and your perspective is important. Even if it looks like a 9 to me, I'm going to walk with you and say that's a 6. Right? Because you standing right next to me, we have a different angle, no matter what it is. Even if you're 1 degree off, we have a different angle. We could be looking at the same star, but we're not going to see the same thing because you're 1 degree off, right? Us together is God. Us together is God. You can see the whole when both minds come together. When all the minds come together. What kind of judge would you be if you only heard one side of the story? If you only heard the plaintiff and not the defendant? See? That's not whole. That's not complete. That's not balanced. That's not ma'at. God has to be balanced. It has to be whole. Like he said, zero, whole, blackness. It's the absorption of all colors. God has to be black. You see? It's like a certain thing. God has to have the ability to be to have a womb. It has to have feminine properties. It has to be able to give birth. God has to be able to build, but God can also destroy. There has to be both of those. God can't just be
God
good
has
and
to
not
be
also
the
be
giver
bad.
and receiver.
Huh? Talk about it.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that's the whole.
That's the hard part for people to grasp, that he and she is both.
Right.
It's androgynous.
Oh, people get mad. Well, see, they want it to be either one. They'd be like, the black man is God, or they say the black woman is God.
Right.
Instead of saying it's both of us together.
The union is
you
God.
Can't have, you know what I mean? You can't have in that case, you're not going to necessarily have the whole by just having the half, like a hologram. It don't work like we need those two pieces to come together. I mean, in a metaphysical way, yeah, you'll always have the whole, even with those pieces. But really, man and woman together, and that's how life is created. You see what I'm saying? You can't have two men don't create life.
Only
Two
God can
women don't create life. It's only when you take a man and a woman and put them together that God shit happens.
Facts.
Okay. That now life is constructed out of nowhere, out of just two fluids coming together, with someone entering and someone being entered.
I watched somebody say
forces
on a video that God could quite possibly be water. It's
God
in
could
you,
be electricity
outside of
you.
you. Yeah.
There's a lot of theories. I say it's all of those things.
All of it.
These are all just mediums of God. You see, these are mediums of God, and how God shows and proves himself. And like, well, how you know that it's one God and all of that is because there be certain through lines that go through everything. You understand what I'm saying? Like the golden ratio, like fractals, things of that nature that constantly come up in all creation. You know what I mean? We have the same fractals inside us that trees and roots and all this other, our blood and, our veins and all that, do all that shit. Our brain, the fuck you ever want to call them, you know what I mean? Cells and all that type of shit. Fractals. We all our faces are based on the golden ratio, and our bodies are based on the golden ratio, and all things in nature. And see, that's the little blueprint, the little fingerprint of the creator, put through all these different things. You see?
That's powerful. Thank you, brothers, for that. And that spirit, we can, whoever wants to go first on this one can you share a specific moment or experience that has a significant impact on your spiritual philosophical beliefs in your life, like that moment that was like the aha moment?
I'm sure there's multiple aha moments. Like,
Right. Well, you just pick one. How about that first one, the one that kind of, where the light bulb just went off on you. You're like, yeah, this is it. I'm awake. I'm aware. I'm conscious. We use that word conscious in such a cliche way. You're not understanding. I think there's a time in everyone's life that shit, we wake up. You know what I'm saying? Like literally, we wake up and it's like you are conscious, and we're using it, the wrong way. But what was that moment for in you, brothers?
Okay, well, my most recently, my aha moment that let me know that this motherfucker lies about everything, is finding out the science about flat Earth. That we do not live on a spinning ball. Okay, that all the shit that they tell you about outer space and all that shit is bullshit. Yeah. That would be one of my aha moments. Like, God damn, this motherfucker really does lie about everything. Yeah, that was a aha moment. And spiritually, and spirit, it's part of spiritual because the reason they're doing it is to try to take God out of the equation. They don't want you to know that God exists. They want you to think that you're some sort of accident that created out of an explosion. First of all, don't explosions usually destroy things?
Destroy everything.
When the fuck have you seen an explosion that created something? Anyway, they want you to act like, man, there's so many planets out there in the universe. Oh, there's got to be other life out here. Oh, you've got to be ridiculous to think that we're the only people in the fucking universe and that, you know, everything was created for you. It was. When motherfuckers say, you act like you the center of the universe, because I am. Because there are no other solid fucking planets and shit with people and all. That's all some bullshit. Okay. And if the Egyptians said we was from Sirius, they didn't mean physically. Okay. Well, if they said we was from other planets, they meant on a some sort of spiritual level. Okay. My theory is that every human is connected to a star in the firmament. You understand what I'm saying? With every star that's up there is connected to a person. You understand? And you're in your little area. That's why you're a Virgo or a Capricorn, or that you're in your little area of the firmament. You understand what I'm saying? And when your physical, you know, runs out, I believe that your spirit or your essence goes back to the star for a while or whatever. And if you want to come back down here and play the game again, you can do that.
Come down here and play.
You're talking about being connected to the stars in that kind of way, and we travel to the stars. That's the only way you're going to travel to the stars, sir. But there is no getting out of this firmament to go to the waters on the outside. Okay, if you know the science of Newton, Gebb, and all of that, they fucking show the science of a firmament and a flat level plane that we live on. So this is not some new shit. Yeah. That would be a spiritual aha moment. And I know I'm ruffling some feathers right now in here, but let's do it.
Hey, listen, so let me ask you this question. Let's go back to that moment in your life as being a young man, and what kind of got you to the point that you are now. That moment. Did somebody give you lessons, or like what was that moment?
Yeah, well, okay. That first aha moment. So yeah. I'm at my man Buck's crib, right? And his grandfather was a Hebrew Israelite, right? I mean, he got the studs going down his pants and all this type of shit, right? And I'm sleeping over my man Buck crib because we used to like throw little parties at his crib. I'm DJing and shit like that. And we mad young, like 12, 13, something like that. And I remember his grandfather was showing us some books, and he was like, Jesus was black. And he was showing us, like, you know, examples of like ancient art where Jesus was depicted as black, and all these different like you know, prophets and all of that were depicted as black. And I had I came up in that whole Jehovah's Witness shit with my moms and all of that type of shit. And just something didn't set right with me with the shit that they was telling me in there. And when he showed me this book, I was like, something in me was like, I knew it. I knew they, I was just, nah, ain't no way they could have been white. But all the books I had seen prior to that in the Jehovah's Witness shit, they're very racist. Like, they might not admit it or might not be known for that, but them Jehovah's Witnesses is mad racist. Like in all of their books, all the people that's, you know, in the afterlife, in the resurrection, they all look white. They're white people chilling with lions and all this type of shit. When we would go into these things called the memorials or whatever, some shit like that, they have people that they call the 144,000 that are like people that are here on Earth that they act like, yeah, they're one of the 144,000, like they're definitely going to heaven type of shit. And all of them was white, yo. Every time my moms would be like, yo, that's somebody, she's one of the 144,000. It was always a fucking white person, yo.
Wow. That's crazy.
The indoctrination is real.
Yeah. So that was what. So when shout out to my Buck's grandpa, I don't know grandpa's name, but he was a Hebrew Israelite, and he's the first one that was like, yo, basically the black man is God. Like, you know what I mean? And I was like, I knew it. I knew it.
So what your mom said to you when you came home, it was like, yo, this is what I'm doing now. Because I know Jehovah's Witness is real strict about stuff like that.
Oh, well, it's not like I went home and dropped the bomb on her that day. You know what I mean? But when I got a little older and I really got knowledge of self, you know what I mean? And I got up in this 5% nation. Oh, I went home and threw out all the pork and all of that type of shit. Put my foot down. Like, we ain't eating no more pork in this house. You know what I mean? And I was the man of the house. Like, you know what I mean? My pops wasn't there, whatever. I'm the oldest. My pops told me since a young kid that, yo, you hold it down. And I believed that shit. So I went home and threw all the pork out. And dared them to say something. Now I know that was some nervy shit. Like, who am I? You know what I mean? I didn't buy none of that shit. But we ain't eat no more pork in my house after that.
So I guess it was a time you wasn't going to the Kingdom Hall no more. You was like, nah, I'm not going to the
I've been stopped going to the Kingdom Hall. I've been stopped doing that. We used to ditch the Kingdom Hall because like my mom's didn't have a car, right? So she used to get us rides. And she would have to ride with some people with my youngest brother because he was still kind of a baby, and then me and my other brother was supposed to ride with like sister so and her family. And so she'd be like, yeah, go to the corner and go meet them or whatever, man. We'd be like, you don't want to go to this shit today, do you? And I'm talking, we like 8, 9 years old. And he'd be like, nah. And I'll be like, all right, come on. We go up to the roof and shit and like watch sister so pull up. And they waiting for us, and then they just pull off and leave. There is no cell phones at this time, you know what I mean? So they would just go to the Kingdom Hall and be like, yo, I didn't see him. And my moms had to be there and mad for hours and shit and come home. What happened to y'all? And we like, I don't know, man. I didn't see her. We was out there, we didn't see her. Like and then when I got old enough to like really put my foot down, I say around 11, 12, I was like, I ain't going no more. And then I used to like tease my brothers like, y'all still gotta go. But you can't make me go no more. Fuck that shit. Those were good times. Okay.
What's up? What about you, Jamar?
What'd you say?
No, Milton. What was your moment?
My aha moment. I would have to say, I was in church 6 days a week, so it was pretty crazy growing up.
Poor guy.
Pastor's kid, playing the drums, all that kind of stuff. So I was pretty important to even the service being ran, so I couldn't really miss. So my awakening had to come a different route, I would say. The way that it got me was I was really obsessed with like Indiana Jones and artifacts, like as a kid growing up. That was like my superhero, and I wanted to be like a black, explorer. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to like go up inside the ruins and see what's going on. I was always obsessed with that type of stuff. I used to have like the encyclopedias in my crib, and I used to read that on punishment. I would just read the encyclopedia when I couldn't leave my room. So that was one of my defaults. Anytime I did something wrong in life, I'm educating myself. That's just the way that I move. And even to this day, I carry that as an adult. Anytime I'm messing up, I go right to books and just start educating myself. And it's like punishment, but at the same time, it's getting me out of wherever rut I'm in. It's educating myself. So I went on trip one day to Mexico. I got into like philanthropy work and stuff like that, and I ended up going to Mexico for a trip. I think it was a business trip, and there was this cave that they wanted us to dive into or whatever.
Wait, how old are you at this time, sir?
I'm in my 30s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm in my 30s, and they wanted us to dive into this cave. And the person that I'm with, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm gonna do this, whatever. You know what I mean? And I didn't realize how high it was until I got up there, you know, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is a little bit higher than the diving board at the rec center. Like, you know what I mean? Like when I was a kid, is this 13 feet? I don't even know. But either way, I'm up there. So I'm like, I'm about to do this. So, you know, I dive in, boom. And when I dive in, of course, I look crazy because it's super high and I didn't hit it right. So like when I hit the water, I was kind of a little dazed, you know what I mean? Like I saw like sparkles and white, so I was kind of like out a little bit. I could see when I got out of it, I saw like fish moving around, black fish, and it was dark cave, dark water, but I could see fish swimming around. So finally, when I came to, I swim up to the top, boom, boom, boom. I get up to the top. I'm kind of panicking, but I can't let it show. So then I get back to the shore. When I finally get to the shore, one of the natives, she hands me this crystal, and the crystal is obsidian. Solid obsidian, and she's just like, just hold it. She made me hold it. She puts it in my hand like this and squeezes, just hold it. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay. She could tell I was a little bit like out of it. She probably knew. So then, boom, go up to the top. Later on, after we done, we go to eat, and we sit down. We having potato soup or whatever, and she's telling me how they had so much knowledge, you know, as a people, the Mayans, how they had all this knowledge, and some Europeans came and took all their books. Because I'm asking her about the pyramids, like how they built the pyramids. And she's like, well, you know, we had it. We used to know how they did it, but some people came in and took the books and they left us with like 3 books. They burned them all. I'm like, what do you mean? She's just telling me the whole story, just about her people and her lineage. And I'm like, wow. And then she's like, yeah.
Isn't that a theme too? The burning of books.
Yeah, shit. Burning of knowledge, you know? So that kind of like, that was like, what? Like, what do you mean burning? You know, me, I like, you know, the books. So I'm just like, what is that? You know, what is that about? And then she says, yeah, these pyramids, they link up with the ones in Africa. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, now I'm like really bugging out because I'm like, what do you mean? We're on another side of the world. You're telling me that this pyramid links up with the pyramids in Giza? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, that don't sound right, but I got to go check this out. So from that moment on, I became obsessed with how one set of people could communicate with another set of people on the other side of the world, right? And all of this stuff be going on and it not be mentioned in the Bible, which I thought was the most oldest book in the world. You know, all this stuff was standing at this time. And I'm like, where's the knowledge on this? How come it's not mentioned at all? Like even the pyramids at all in the Bible. So then I just became intrigued. I started delving and diving into this, you know, heavy. And then the last, I would say, kicker was when I had a near-death experience. And when that happened, I was waiting for Jesus or the devil to come get me. And when neither one of them came, that's when I was all in. I said, yo, this shit is fake, bro. And I went to my boy La. Yo, my boy La. Yo.
Neither one of them showed up.
You know La. La came in the crib. He came to my crib. I was balling. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was really impacting me.
I was just by myself.
And I was like, yo, La. I said, yo, Jesus fake, bro. This whole joint, it's all fake. All of it. Like, we got to talk. You know what I'm saying? So from that moment on, I just started changing my life and, you know, started getting around more people who were like-minded, you know, just from that alone, you know. And I documented it all on Facebook. That's how I became Jamaar Milton. Everybody got to see that.
Interesting. So that's a late spiritual awakening.
Oh, yeah. I was in my 30s.
Wow.
So when you hit that water, did it knock you out for a second?
Yeah, I was dazed. Okay. So you know how you see stars?
Okay.
But it joggled something, you know, and I felt like it was like almost like a baptism. I don't know how many Mayan bodies is on the bottom and skulls, but I feel like my indigenous ancestry by doing that. There's something about baptizing and going into the water. All the ancestors did it for a reason. They all jumped in that water and they did something, and they talk about resurrections and new awakenings. And I felt like that was my resurrection. That was me, you know, tapping in to the ancients and them letting me know who I am. We 72% water, so I know it has something to do with it.
But it's also the old school of knocking sense into somebody too.
Yeah, literally.
Like you could have got sense knocked into you. You know?
I believe that. I believe that.
Dead ass.
Yeah,
Damn.
because I wasn't dumb. Like, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't a dumb kid. I was smart, went to college and all that. Boom, boom. Like, I could put 2 and 2 together. But how come I couldn't get this programming? How come I couldn't shake it? You know what I'm saying? Might have to get to, you know.
And that's when you try to wake somebody up, what do? You shake them, like, you know what I mean? Like, you try to like wake the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's subconsciously in our DNA, we know that that's part of, you know, somebody needs to be jarred in order to wake up sometimes, and that was your jarring.
Yeah,
like,
so I believe that.
So Jamar, just real quick, you spoke about being a preacher's son and a drummer.
Yeah.
Also, you learned how to play the drums in the church?
No, I actually I learned from my uncle, who was an aspiring artist. Him and his best friend used to play in the basement. His best friend used to play the drums for him while he writes songs and sings songs. And I would sit at the top of the steps and watch them till I was like old enough to go in the basement and not be scared. I was afraid of the basement as a kid. I used to just watch them. And then I went down into the basement finally. He told me, come on down. And what happened was his best friend passed away. And I ended up taking his place, kind of. So I would go down there and I'd be playing with them first, both of them together. And then his best friend passed away. And then I just ended up being a drummer for my uncle. And then go to school, 5th, 6th grade. They ask you what instrument you want to play. I try other things, 4 or 5 things. But then ultimately I ended up just doing the drums.
Doing the drums. So I'm gonna close out with this last question here. But you know, because that kind of brings us kind of full circle, kind of back to where we started. We talked about the inspiration in terms of just being conscious, or just the knowledge or the consciousness in your brother's works. But one of the things is just the artistic, creative inspiration in terms of how to be musicians is something on a whole kind of the other side. They're related, but a little bit different. So is that your introduction to music, or was it something before that, sitting at the top of the steps?
That was my introduction to music as far as creating. And
okay.
Yeah, like I was listening to radio and stuff like that as a kid, you know, whatever I could muster. I wasn't allowed to listen to like secular music. It was mainly gospel music and stuff like that. But as far as somebody expressing their own self and their own work, like that was my first time seeing that. And that's what I wanted. Like, you know, I knew like that was for me. I you know, going to church, I would see them doing praise and worship and all that. And I didn't understand that vibe. Right. I like with the moment I was able to express me in it, then it became important to me. Like, I don't really listen to the radio and what other people do. Sometimes they take offense to it, but it's just like it doesn't interest me any more than golf does. You know, but expressing myself through music is major to me. It's really for me the best way that I can express myself. You know what I mean? The most honest way that I can express myself. Even if when I don't want to be honest on the record, it comes out. It's all I know how to do.
Right. Jay, what about you? What was your kind of aha music moment?
Aha music moment? My aha music moment was when I would listen to the world famous Supreme Team back in the days on WHBI, and they would be singing The Enlightener. They would be singing it over to Make This the Night to Remember beat. Peace to Allah and justice and justice. And they'd be like, the knowledge is the foundation, the wisdom is the way, the understanding shows you that you are on your way. So now,
that's fire.
Cool. I know this song frontwards and backwards, and I loved it. You know what I mean? Then later, when I started getting knowledge from the God True King, he's giving me the mathematics. And it's like, the knowledge is the foundation. You know what I mean? But it's a little more elaborate. The wisdom, you know, wisdom is the wise words. Wisdom is the way. I'm like, hold up.
That's that song.
This is the lyrics from Supreme Team. Like, this is Supreme Team. And then I'm like, oh. I'm like, yo, you mean these niggas was teaching me some shit and I didn't even know?
That's crazy.
I was like, yo, that's brilliant. I was like, I want to do that. I want to do that. I said, yo, they planted a seed. I was like, that is like the illest like musical gift. Like, I already thought the song was dope. And then when I realized what they was really talking about, that just added an extra layer of dopeness to the whole song, to the delivery, to everything. I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And that was my musical aha moment. And that inspired me to be like, yeah, I want to plant seeds that grow later on. Like, you might not even get it right away. Like, you just think it's a dope song. And then, like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Once you grow into the song, once you grow into the knowledge that was given to you, you could appreciate the song more. Bet you if you go back right now and listen to certain brand Nubian songs, or you know what I mean, there'll be things that you hear, and now that your knowledge is advanced, oh, that's what they were saying.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
World famous Supreme Team. They did the Buffalo Gals, right?
Yes, sir.
Come on, shout out to world famous Supreme Team. For those people who don't know,
Right.
Are you guys from out there in BK with them, or are you from the Bronx?
Well, I was born in the Bronx, but I grew up in Westchester, New Rochelle.
Okay.
So wherever that radio station was, the signal was very weak, but we got it. You know what I mean? But I would literally have to only in the kitchen. You know what I mean? Like, no other room in my apartment would it work. I had to be in the kitchen, sitting on this freezer, like, you know, one of those fucking extra freezers and shit. You know what I mean? That shit was like in the corner by the window, and I'd have like the radio right by the window and the antenna like kind of sticking out a little hole in the what are those called? The screen, you know, the screen that's in the window and shit. But you know, when you be young, you be fucking putting holes in the screens. So I'm sticking the antenna out to shit, and if I do it just right, the shit come in great. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but I had to do that. And it only came on once a week at like 1 a.m. And I got to go to school in the morning and all this type of shit. And sometimes I'm up waiting to fucking listen to the shit, and then I'll fall asleep. And I wake up at the end and shit when it's going off, and I'm like, fuck. Now I gotta wait till next week. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
Because we used to tape them shows. That's what we had to
Different
do.
era. Yeah.
That's when hip hop was special.
Yeah.
It wasn't 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Hip hop.
Yeah.
Day,
So this is before you was
Yeah.
DJ when Buck. This is before
shit was for an hour once a week. You know what I mean? On a Tuesday at 1 a.m.
Right. Earlier you talked about, you know, being in Buck's crib, DJing and stuff like that, doing those parties. This is right before that.
Now this is probably around that time.
Around that time. Okay.
It's around that time. I'm doing that around that time.
So from the skills of DJing, who taught you? How'd you learn that?
How did I learn? Just from watching. I've been a do the knowledge type of person, you know what I mean? And then just putting myself in it, like, you know what I mean? First we started DJing by having 2 different like record players and 2 different amps, and turning one volume down and turning the other one up type of shit, you know what I mean? Well, really it started first with pause button tapes.
Right.
That's where. So I got crazy nice with the pause button tapes. If anybody knows what, y'all old enough to know what the fuck that is. So I was nice on the pause button tapes. Then we doing that shit. You know what I mean? Then somehow you get a mixer, and you know, now you're watching videos, and like, it'll be sometimes a little second of a video of somebody DJing coming on, and again, you got to wait for these videos to come on, sometimes once a week and all this type of shit. I'm just right in front of the TV. I ain't have no VHS to tape the shit or no shit like that. Like, I had to just wait for these videos to come back on. And then you might meet people. Like, I met this dude named Little Jinx and shit from New Rochelle. And he was nasty, and he was like he was around my age. He was one of those dudes that got left back a few times. You know what I mean? So he was in the same class, but he was older than me, but he was a short dude. But you know what I mean? Like, but he was a cool motherfucker. Like, you know what I mean? He was a little gangster ass, you know what I mean? But he could DJ his ass off. Remember, he had these long fingernails and shit. He used to scratch with his fingernails. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. You know what I mean? So that was somebody that really gave me some hands on. But yeah, it was a lot of just doing the knowledge, just standing over people's shoulders and shit. I'm that type of dude. I learned a lot of shit like that. Just
and you transitioned from a DJ to a writer, MC. And what was that transition like?
I had a crew at that time. You know, that's when DJs had crews. And so my name was KD, and it was KD and the Ever Loving 3 MCs. Okay. And I was like, I was the youngest one in the group or whatever the case may be. And like, that's when people did routines and shit like that. Right. So I started helping write these routines. You know what I mean? Then it became a novelty, like, yo, why don't you write a rhyme and then like DJ and MC at the same time? And that'll be, you know, we were just thinking of little novelties and shit. You know what I mean? Like, and then these motherfuckers, some of them just, you know, like my man, Ja Will, he had a baby all young, like 16. And so he can't really focus on this shit. Like, you know what I mean? Then my other man, he kind of lost interest. Then it was just me and my man Debonair left, you know what I mean? And so then we formed some shit, the Virgo 2, where we rhyming and shit together. But now he wants to be too much in the streets. And you know what I mean? He ended up fucking, you know what I mean? Getting hooked on drugs, if I keep it real. You know what I mean? And so now it's just me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm the only one that fucking was like, yo, I'm gonna make a fucking record. Fuck the bullshit. Like, I love this hip hop shit. Like,
and how'd you hook up with? I know in Pooh was from Nauru as well, right?
Yes, but I didn't meet him yet. You know what I mean? Okay. This is when I'm younger. Like, this is when I'm like 15 or some shit. I didn't meet Pooh Bah until I was like 17 or some shit like that.
Okay, all right. So, brothers, you got any other thoughts before we close out the show?
The true and living God is me. The true and living God is you. It's not us as individuals. You know what I mean? It's us as what we represent, like we said, of the whole. And the whole is the consciousness. You know what I mean? Like, this is all a mental thing. We believe we talk all this physical shit, but really it's a mental thing. Everything is mental. Everything that you see before you had to think about before it came to you. You thought about what you put on today. You thought about getting that, what's that little mummy behind you before you bought it or whatever the case may be. Like, you have to think about everything. Jamar thought about putting that Niggas by Nature hat on. Now, he didn't think about leaving just now. He did that last. But he did think about buying a computer in order to do lives and shit like that. You see what I'm saying? Like, everything, it's all mental. And at the end of the day, we live in a mental world. That's why if you master your mental, you can master the physical world. And I think that's something that the Egyptians and all of that were trying to show us as well. You know what I mean? Like, if you master the mind, you can create whatever the fuck. Like, you can fucking move stone that's, you know what I mean? Unbelievably, you can do whatever. You can shape and mold rock with your mind. We still don't know how they made this shit.
That's a fact.
I was saying to you, Taki, that I believe that a lot of there's nothing new under the sun. And so a lot of the things that we have today, we probably had back then too. And I'm talking laser cutters and shit like that. You know, I said the internet the other day, but now I'm thinking about like laser tools and fucking diamond cutters and shit that they say. They always say they didn't have this. They didn't have the wheel back then. They didn't have. How? Are we sure? Like, or is that y'all telling us that so that it makes it seem like y'all are the smartest ones in history with this whole false evolution shit? You understand what I'm saying? I'm just something to think about before we leave.
Yes, sir. Jamar, what about you, brother? What's your thought? You got any last thoughts before we get out of the show, go off the show tonight?
First and foremost, I just want to prioritize this trip. If you haven't registered already,
That's right.
Definitely sign up, because like he said, what I want to iterate is going to Egypt with, as a tourist is really different than going to Egypt with scholars, with master scholars who know what it is that they're looking at and can tell you what you're looking at. You're going to have a very, very different experience, and you're going to come back empowered, educated, and you're going to be somebody that is a vessel for knowledge, when you come back. So it's definitely something that you want to look into. And then lastly, as far as a true and living God,
have not just one Jamar, but two Jamars.
Facts. You get
same trip.
Jamar Square, right?
You get both dimensions. It doesn't matter which dimension you want. You get in Jamar.
What?
It don't matter.
Like who gets that? Like, come on.
This doesn't happen.
Double Jamar, like Jamar squared. It's crazy. Come
on, man.
That alone.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you're getting two Jamars for one price.
Come on.
Like, come on.
Got to come out. So yeah, that and true and living God, at the end of the day, it has to start with you. You can't even acknowledge a God if you don't first acknowledge the fact that you can acknowledge something. Like, you have to look at just the fact that you have to exist in order for it to even be a manifestation. It's almost like the idea of when a tree falls somewhere in the woods with nobody to hear it, doesn't make a sound. So first and foremost, looking at God as the whole, and you being a part of that, as opposed to it being an outside entity that you have to constantly seek and want to be a part of. You are already it. It is already you. And we collectively make God stronger. So that's what I'll say.
Well, I definitely want to thank you, brothers, for being a part of this. And yes, the Happy 2024 tour to Egypt. Special guest DJ, our brother Lord Jamar, brand Nubian, is going to be in the house. Family is going to be extraordinary experience.
And wait, we let them know we only playing like classic. Like, we don't play like
facts
like that. Yeah.
No, definitely classic
80s,
joints.
90s, early 2000s.
Definitely classic joints, and the balance so important that we
hip hop, R&B, reggae, all of that.
Yes. Shout out to the live performance of Jamaar Milton. Sister Ruby Hayes also will be doing a live performance as well.
House, though.
One of the things I just want to add on before we come back to announcing the trip, I just want to add on to what was said about the ancients. Their secret, and I think one of the things is it's so small, but it's so big, and because it's so obvious, we overlook it sometimes. The secret and the power they had, and the knowledge, wisdom they had to be able to achieve what they did, came from the fact that they understood the power of unity and how to work together for a common cause. Now, it should sound simple as hell, but the reality is that's one of the key things we are missing today, is how do we just come together and work in unison for a common goal. They understood that very well, and they mastered that. They mastered, what Dr. J calls the 3 C's: communal, cooperative, and collective spiritual development. Those 3 C's are so essential to who and what we are and what we do. And until we learn how to come together and work together in a common goal, and I'm not saying just to say it, to actually really eat, live, drink, it has to be a part of our being. We won't be able to achieve anything like they did until we get that down pat.
Well, the only way that's going to happen is if we get away from all this individualism.
Absolutely.
All this individual, tell my truth, and like, why not our? You never hear they say our truth. They just say, "Oh, I want to be able to tell my truth and my this and my that, and my feelings were hurt, and I'm triggered, and all of this, you know, all of this individual nonsense that has nothing to do with the collective." And nobody talks about how to bring the collective forward and how we can do this and our this, and you know. So again, it's also about.
That's one of the tricks of the devil, though. That's one of the tricks of the devil.
Remove certain things out of the language.
Right.
We have to adjust the language, be very conscious of our language, and stop falling into their fucking tricks. And if they're taking certain words out, we got to put those words back in.
Right. Well, you know, one of the vanity of the individualism and the devil, and the technology of the devil deals with individualism, and that's what a lot of us deal with, and we got to get out of that. And if we want to get back to any semblance of what we did, it has to be on a collective front. So with that, brothers, listen, family, before I let them go, also we're going to bring up that flyer once again. We're going to talk about this and the importance of that, because a lot was said tonight. I just want to summarize the impetus of this here, because I don't want it to be overlooked or overshadowed by a lot of the information that came across this evening. When we think in terms of traveling or just going and opening and awakening your minds, the brother, I think Jamaar Milton said, enlightening and empowering. And that's exactly what this is about, enlightening and empowering yourself. Again, there are some seats left. We sold out of group 1. Now we're going to the second group 2. So if you're really interested, you got to just go ahead and make a commitment. icaretours.com. Please just, if you got any questions, again, 646-907-8344. Give us a call. We'll be more than happy to answer any questions. With that, family, we're going to put you guys backstage. I'm going to go ahead and close out the show. I'll be back there in 2 minutes. And before I just say, good night to everybody on the air. All right, family. So once again, the Happy 2024 tour to Kemet. Register now. Go ahead and get your tickets or book and be a part of this extraordinary experience. I'm excited. I'm excited for several reasons. We're doing it almost 3 decades now. First group tour we organized was back in 2001. My level of excitement is on par with that first experience, if you can only imagine that. And I say that because this is something that I feel has real value in it, because we're connecting not only the historical context of it, but also the economics. When we're in Kemet, we're going to understand things about, we talked about pyramids and how they do these different things like that. But there's what we call the plan before the plan. Before the pyramids were built, there was an economic plan that was put together to fund that project, or those resources had to be there to make sure those things were put together properly. We're going to also look at African archetypes of economic genius in terms of creating different trade routes and things like that. So these are things that we need to understand, and things we need to look at. So along with the history and the spirituality information that we'll be learning and gathering while we're there, we'll also be understanding our economic foundation as well, along with the fact that there will be a networking forum and economic courses as well. That'll be a part of it. That will be featured on the chartered ship. So this is a powerful experience. Shout out to Wendy. She'll be there with us, and she'll actually be hosting a workout session on the cruise as well. And that's a huge announcement that we'll be making is also. So there'll be so many different activities, a Kemetic workout, Kemet sunrise workout that we'll be having one of the days while we're sailing up the Nile. So people, there's so many different aspects to this journey. The Happy Dinner Gala, the various different pyramid sites, all of that, Kemet has to offer. So definitely want to sign up if you haven't done so already. And family, again, the hapifilm, make sure you get your copy. Also, all the happy gear that we have, the power and unity, everything. You can go to hapifilm.com, get your merchandise, and it's all on sale. We're about to it's all on sale, family. Make sure you definitely help and support it. Again, the newsletter, people who haven't been signed up, stay in touch with everything that we have going on in the world of HAPI. And lastly, I want to definitely thank everyone who showed their support through the super chats and also the cash apps tonight. Thank you so much. It was greatly appreciated. And we look forward to bringing you more dope content like we've been doing. And it's only been done with your support and the collective support of the community. And you guys do a tremendous job at it. And, you know, we definitely, from Felicia and I, from the bottom of our hearts, want to thank all of you for being who you are, because without this collective, there would be none. So we are definitely an example of what we need to do to build pyramids. So with that, family, without any further, we want to say good night, peace, until the next time.
I don't know what we can talk about in this nation without talking about white superiority. Honestly,
Who defines the meaning of God also defines the relationship between economy and God.
African Americans spent $1.3 trillion last year, making us the 16th wealthiest nation in the world. Why have we not turned those riches into wealth to develop our community?